I'm going to ask you about some questions about your experience in Iraq. To start, where exactly did you go in Iraq?
In Iraq, I was in what's called the Al Anbar province. Within the Al Anbar province, I spent most of my time at a TCP, which is a traffic control point in between Al Asad and the Euphrates River, and then I also spent a lot of time up at Haditha Dam.
When first arriving to Iraq, do you remember that? And do you remember what it was like?
I guess first arriving to Iraq, the plane ride over from Saudi to Iraq was very interesting. On the way, we did a few tactical maneuvers, which was like 1,000-foot drop. So you're actually flying in the air, and then the airplane just drops like 1,000 feet. That was kind of gut-wrenching. Arriving there, it was kind of like arriving in 29 Palms, out in the desert. You don't really know what to feel or expect. The place where we arrived at was actually a very large base. Was previously an Iraqi Air Force base, and the Marine Corps, or actually military, took it over and was using it as their base, and they built it up. From there, actually going out to the first place where we were at in Iraq, we went up to Haditha Dam. Our unit was charged with security on a small village on the west side of the river, and then we also had a couple of checkpoints out there. So we went out to our first checkpoints, which is basically out in the middle of nowhere. It's an area that's got concertina wire around it, a couple of positions kind of built up, and we did what's called a RIP, relief in place. So the people that we were taking over for, they kind of explained to us, the area, the operations, so on and so forth, and then we took over and they took off, and that was kind of the beginning.
Were there any casualties in your unit during that time?
During that time, no. Actually, during the whole 7-month deployment, we had very minimal casualties, which is something to be proud of. A lot of people, I don't know, see things differently, but we only had one guy who got hit pretty hard by an IED. He got a shattered bones in his leg. We had another guy who got shot through the thigh, but he was okay. Other than that, those are the major ones, major injuries.
Do you have any experiences that stood out to you while you were in Iraq?
Probably the biggest one, well, there's two that really kind of stood out for me. One I didn't really realize till later. The other one happened, that one, I can't really forget about that one. Do you want to start that question all over again? Thank you, Kiki. I knocked on the door and told you we were doing an interview.